I am back here with Michael Duffy, the author of The President's Club and, of course, executive editor of Time magazine. I want to ask you about another thing that we saw unfold this week in Austin, Texas, at the Civil Rights Summit, which is that the Johnson partisans and the Johnson family seemed very intent on redefining the presidency of Lyndon B. Johnson, which in the end was overshadowed and probably ended because of the Vietnam War.
When he was in office, President Johnson knew that he was doing astonishing things domestically, building the Great Society, changing the way his party thought about civil rights, and extending opportunities to Americans who hadn't had really a big change in their lives since the New Deal. But he also had this, what he called, in a maybe unflattering phrase, like his mistress, which was the Vietnam War, which was killing him, and it was killing him physically, and it was killing his presidency, and he would not get that second term, and he knew it, and he knew that the longer the war went on, the harder it was going to be. There's very difficult for the Johnson Library and the people who oversee his legacy to do much about that, but they can lift up, and did this week essentially, what he was able to accomplish domestically, and say. And President Obama talked a little bit about this too, saying this was the moment, the best moment of his presidency, passing the Voting Rights Bill in '65. That was where his past, which began very poor and impoverished, he became an accommodation segregationist essentially as a Southern Democrat. But at the moment that it mattered, he was able to get the voting rights passed and change the course of history.
It seems to me that every president thinks that once they've achieved the presidency, that there is a moment that they occupy. What is the moment that you could read into President Obama's remarks that you believe that he thinks he occupies right now?
Well, it's tough because his first term was so busy and so revolutionary, and of course he took health care and changed the way that went and lifted and saved the economy from recession. Those were two huge domestic achievements for which he's gotten very little credit. And it may be years before he gets it. And he can see as his second term begins to sort of reach its midpoint and unfold that the politics are moving away from him. The country is looking at his party's looking at a tough mid-year election this year. They may lose both houses of the Senate, of the Congress. And his legislative effectiveness is probably done. And so he is in a tough position of saying, I've done some amazing things. People don't really give me credit. I don't have a lot of time left. What I've got left, I've got to use. I've got to try to make a difference here, and he's trying to do that with executive orders. But I think he's begun to see the end, and that's got to be. It's got to concentrate your mind.
Tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think it's true of every ex-president I can think of, whether it's Nixon or Johnson, maybe not so much Ford, but certainly Bill Clinton at one point, and now Barack Obama and George W. Bush, and H.W. Bush, that nobody gave them credit, and it paid to be stubborn and to hang in there and to say, you'll be sorry you were so mean to me.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. It's lucky that we're electing our presidents younger and throwing them out sooner because they have more years and decades to fix the record. And I think we all appreciate them in retrospect more because we have perspective and time, and we realize things that we maybe opposed or criticized in the moment turned out to be good things for the country.
And that's what they're counting on.
And that's their bet.
Michael Duffy of Time magazine, thanks a lot.
You bet.